Tim accidentally messages and meets the wrong girl and has to spend his vacation with her. Will the girl win his heart or will she destroy it? You'll have to stick around to the end to see how the whole story unfolds. Hello and welcome to Comedy Recap. Today we will give you a recap of the film The Wrong Missy. Spoilers ahead, obviously. Without further ado, let's dive right into it. The movie starts with Tim Morris at a restaurant looking for his date Melissa, who is supposed to be in a blue dress. He locates the wrong girl in a blue dress that was pregnant, and along with her was her husband. He got confused when later Missy came to him and cleared the confusion. They both then sat at their table and initiated their date. Missy started to energetically interact with Tim, which made him awkward. She then messed with the previous couple and threatened the husband that her date will kick his butt if he doesn't stop staring, after which Tim freaked out and left for the restroom. Tim tried to escape from the restroom's window when later Missy came in and caught him. She then showed him her huge knife named Sheila, which freaked him out even more. She then left him when later Tim accidentally fell through the restroom's window and twisted his foot. He screamed in pain when Missy arrived again and aggressively snapped his foot back while Tim continued screaming. Now we see 3 months later that Tim is working and talking to his co-worker Nate, who tells him to talk to more women. And later, Tim is rushing for his flight when he collides with a blonde woman. He picks up his bags, and he later realizes that their luggage got swapped. He went back and found her also waiting. They then exchanged their bags and later went to a bar to drink. They talked, and Tim found out that her name was also Melissa and that she was very much similar to him. They related very much and couldn't control themselves. They then rushed to a storage room and started to kiss. Melissa's flight got announced and she left after taking his phone number. He then went home and started chatting with her. She asked him for a picture of his wiener, which he sent later.
Oh god.
The next day, he went to his office and his friend Nate, who had access to all his electronics, asked him about the Melissa girl. Tim told him about her and got forced to meet her by him. Tim next is seen on a flight waiting for Melissa. A few moments later, Missy walked in and sat beside him and then weirdly started to hug him. Tim sat in a shocked state, realizing that he had been chatting with the wrong Melissa all this time. He then tried to tell her that all of this was a big misunderstanding, but couldn't after Missy had told him that he had just saved her because she was about to jump from a bridge right before she had gotten his message. He then tried to order a drink but failed again as Missy popped a dog tranquilizer in his mouth, after which he snoozed off. Tim now wakes up at night when everyone was sleeping except for Missy, who was giving him a hand job. He tried stopping her until the plane started to shake and Tim came. Later, Tim realized that everyone was awake and aware of the situation. They arrived at the island where they were getting the key to their booked rooms until Tim met with his ex-fiancée and his new boyfriend. They exchanged words with an awkward vibe and later left for their room. They reached their room and Melissa straight away went to the bathtub and dipped in. Tim told her to enjoy her time and then left. He then met his friend, boss, and co-worker Jess, who asked him about his date. He lied to them about her not feeling well until Missy walked right into their circle and started to mess around. Everyone gets confused until Tim left with Missy. He then tells her that he might have falsely bragged about her to his boss and co-workers. They then proceeded to party and have fun. Jess then approached Missy and told her to jump off the cliff. Tim came to the rescue and tried to convince her not to jump. Missy ignored him and jumped anyways and smashed right into the ground, but somehow had survived. Tim is seen next dragging her back to their room and laying her on the bed. He also slept and later saw that pretty Melissa on top of him and grinding. He squinted his eyes and realized that it was Missy on top of him. The next day, Tim again sneaked off to meet his office workers at an event that they all prepared to hunt some sharks until Missy came running in from afar and dived right into the water. She then reached the boat. The boss then prepared to dive into the ocean and offered Tim to tag along with him, to which he denied, saying that he needed to take care of Missy. She then forced him to go and he prepared. Both Tim and his boss dived into the ocean while remaining inside a cage. Missy got bored, slashed some fish, and tried throwing it above the dip cage to attract sharks, but got stopped by Kumante, who was the guide. They fought over the bucket, which accidentally got tossed into the sea, and sharks came immediately. The sharks started to strike the cage very aggressively. Tim got out, but his boss got knocked out, who was saved by Missy. They all went back safely, and Tim started to argue with Missy about her mistakes. He then got a message from Melissa, and they started to chat. Later, Tim agreed with Missy about going to the spa with a lady named Barbara. He later met with Nate, who told him that Barbara was his boss's wife, after which he started to panic. He then rushed back to the spa and confronted Missy, who told him that she guided Barbara to leave her evil husband. Tim then told her that she was his boss's wife. Later, the boss got mad and sat in the middle of a pool, depressed. Missy then confronted him and told him that she was the one who had manipulated his wife, and then told him that he needed to love her back. He got mad and later accidentally tripped and broke his neck. Missy stepped up again and popped his neck back and saved him. Tim tried to leave the hotel until Missy came to him and convinced him that his boss loved him. Later, the event started when Tim's team was performing with the help of Shadow. Tim realized that his boss constantly clapped and appreciated their performance. He later met Missy and asked what she did to him, to which she told him that she had hypnotized him. The boss later puked whenever Jesse's name was said during her performance due to the hypnotization by Missy. Later, the boss met Tim and hugged him and then told him to never leave Missy. Tim got impressed with Missy and later sat with her for dinner. They talked and laughed together while Tim's wife saw them from afar and got jealous. Later, Tim met with Nate and told him that he was starting to fall for Missy and ignored Melissa's text. He went back to his room only to find his ex-fiancée sitting with Missy. Missy tells him to move on and that he needed to have breakup intercourse with his ex-fiancée and offered to have a threesome. All three kissed each other until Tim started to kiss Missy and kicked his ex-fiancée away. The next day, Tim walked on the beach with Missy. He then dressed up as a fish and met with his boss, who offered to upgrade his position over Jess. Jess got pissed off and confronted Missy and told her that she wasn't even supposed to be there. Tim then later met with Missy back in their room. He went to take a shower while Missy checked his phone and saw all his messages with Melissa. Tim got out and chased after her, but Melissa showed up and hugged him while Missy went away in a cab. Tim then sat at a restaurant with Melissa and decided to hand walk after being drunk. He walked out on his hands and tripped over the fence and fell right onto the ground, getting knocked out. He then flashed back to all the times he had spent with Missy. Later, when he got his consciousness back, he told Melissa about his love for Missy, who told him to go and chase her back. He ran after her, but she had already left on her flight. Days went by as Tim messaged her and asked to meet but got no reply. Later, he contacted her with an anonymous number and went on a date. Missy, who was still pissed at him, walked away until Tim stopped her and told her that he loved her and felt complete while with her. They kissed right away and completed each other back. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.